2024 has just started, and as always, there are plenty of things that will change in the Google Ads world this year. And in this video, I will share with you 7 things that I believe are very important to keep in mind, some things that will change, some things that you should be doing in 2024 to be most successful with your ads. And as always, this video is based on our roughly $1.3 million in monthly ad spend for our e-commerce clients. So it's all based on real world insights. With that being said, let's get started right away. The first and probably biggest trend, besides of course all the AI evolvements, is in my opinion that we will see more of a move from pull marketing to push marketing in Google Ads. Now, what does that mean? Well, traditionally most e-commerce brands or most advertisers out there when it comes to Google Ads, they are very focused on using shopping and search, right? You define some keywords, people search for your products and you're trying to sell them. And that's usually like the easiest way to go about it, and that's what like most brands out there are actually doing. However, Google is working very hard on giving you sort of more channels and more networks to place ads on, and they are getting more and more like Facebook in that regard, right? So you have YouTube, you have the display network, now you have the new demand gen campaign type, you have all the other placements that you can show on. And what we see with our clients, at least the bigger ones that have some decent ad budget like $50,000 plus per month, we can make extensive use of these networks as well. So Google Ads isn't that ultra bottom of funnel traffic source anymore where you can like convert those super easy search queries and that's it, because all the other tools, networks and campaign types, they tend to get better and better and better. Don't get me wrong here, when you have a small budget, it's still best to just focus on shopping and search and that's it. But the moment that you really want to scale and you feel like, you know, your search impression share is at an absolute max and you've maxed out your shopping and search campaigns, then it's absolutely worth looking into these placements and these campaign types as well, because there the volume is really endless. And we see that with some clients, as I said, over 50K, but also our biggest, which spent about $170,000 a month, where we are diving more and more into these campaign types, and they seem to be very, very promising. Actually, if you would like to find out whether this is something that makes sense for you, we are currently offering a free roadmap where actually I will sit down, look at your store, look at your business and do a full Loom video where I talk about what your Google Ads strategy should look like, in my opinion, in 2024. It's completely free, so we only do it for a very limited time and as long as I have the capacity to do so, and you should have a little bit of existing sales volume so that it's actually worth, you know, discussing all of that, because if you're just starting out, then it's not that easy to do it. So if you want to do it, if you want to claim that offer, if you have some existing sales and you want like a roadmap of what you should do this year to be most successful with Google Ads, some ideas, some actual game plans, totally free, check the link in the description. Now, the second point is that PMax will likely get a lot more options, a lot more features and a lot more things that you can do with it. Google already started rolling out some features where you can auto create assets for your PMax campaign, right? Like essentially like all the AI tools like Midjourney and things like that, where you can actually create assets with the push of a button. Now, those things are not super advanced yet. And especially if you have a product where brand appearance and brand design matters, then you cannot just let Google create these assets for you. But especially if you have a very low budget, especially if you do not have any good assets, you can think about using features like that to make your Performance Max campaign better. And besides that, of course, it is to be expected that there are many new things that Google will roll out for Performance Max, simply because it's the campaign type that they're pushing the most. So probably we will have some more control over some of the elements again, because Google realized that you need some level of reporting that is, you know, better than what we have right now to make more use of that campaign type. Also, I think that we will see more features like being able to, you know, better control the products and the pages that you advertise, and just more options when it comes to audiences and all those kind of things. What is still important here though is that you do not rely on Performance Max too much. Most of our clients use Performance Max and it makes sense, but what we also see is a trend towards a more granular setup again when it comes to shopping, search, PMax and the other campaign types as well. So the moment that you can afford it, you should actually think about having a dedicated YouTube campaign, dedicated demand gen, dedicated shopping, dedicated search, rather than mixing it all in this very big Performance Max campaign type, which is essentially a mix of all the others, but nothing totally new in and of itself. Number three, and I talked about that a few times, assets are key and will be even more important, right? So what you should really focus on is having high quality assets, high quality images, writing very high quality ad copy when it comes to search ads, for example, because that's also an asset in that sense, researching very powerful, very promising audiences, for example, negative keyword research, coming up with great positive keywords as well. So anything that you have to enter by yourself essentially will be extremely important, whereas things like bid adjustments, setting the exact right bid, micromanaging bids, and everything that has to do with like pure numbers only, you could say, is not that important. Now, of course, it's important whether you choose maximize conversion value or manual CPC as a bidding strategy. And it's also important whether you set a target ROAS of 1,000% or 150%. But it is not that important that you make all these adjustments on a daily basis, right? I know that many brands to this day, they still micromanage their bids every other day or something like that. That's absolutely not necessary. You should focus your energy on other things like, as I said, especially having great assets and feeding the system with amazing inputs, which actually brings me to point 4, and that's like strategy, planning, and inputs versus micromanagement. So when I look across our clients, whether it's like this very small brand spending just $5,000-$6,000 a month, or as I mentioned before, $170,000 on the very, very upper end, only on Google. What we do for the most part is we strategize what the overall account structure should look like, which campaigns do we need, which campaign types do we need. We build these campaigns, of course, and we regularly update and change them and optimize them. What we also do is we make sure that all the different campaign types complement each other and then not stealing from each other. We make sure that we cover all the products that are necessary, all the products that we want to sell. But that is really sort of the focus, right? Making sure that the entire account is optimized, making sure that we use the right campaigns, that we use the right ads, make sure that all the assets are being refreshed regularly, make sure that all the inputs are correct, like, we have a good set of negative keywords and so on and so forth. And what we do not do is we jump in every day and look at the search term report every single day. Or we go ahead and what I just mentioned, we adjust the bids every single day. And if a product underperforms, we immediately reduce the manual CPC bid. Or we make a super granular setup where every product gets its own ad group within a shopping campaign. Everything that's super granular, we are not doing, or most of the time, we ignore these things pretty much because the overall system performs. But really, you should get creative with how you set up the account, right? I still to this day see, again, many brands that have a super basic setup. All their sales come from brand, some sales from like ultra bottom of funnel keywords, but that's it. Many brands really struggle with actually scaling with Google because the moment you're not focused on these super low hanging fruits anymore, everything breaks apart. And that's exactly what you should focus on more, like really thinking, how can I get sales beyond my brand and ultra bottom of funnel? Because Google has a lot more inventory and a lot more potential than you might think. And whenever I speak to owners, founders, marketing managers of e-commerce stores, they realize, oh, wait a second, there is actually a lot more in it when you do all these things and when you test everything and when you come up with new campaign ideas that you normally thought wouldn't work. And that's really, I think, another trend for 2024. Number 5 is conversion tracking and data quality. Now, this will be super important as well because the algorithm, which is at the core of all of that and makes sure that you get the best results, needs accurate data, of course. And I'm not just talking about making sure that you track properly, but also that you track as much as possible, right? The more events you track, the more types of events like add to cart, checkouts, scrolling more than 50%, you name it, the more of these things you track, the more you can fine-tune the optimization, the more you learn about your customers, and of course, the better your campaigns get. If you only track, let's say, 90% of sales and the rest sort of slips through, well, you're leaving 10% of optimization on the table. And if you compete with others, which you obviously do, then the one with the most accurate data and the most tracked data and the most data that is actually being put to use wins, of course, all other things being equal. So especially in 2024 and especially in the future where cookies are about to go away, where first-party data gets more and more important, things like server-side tracking, etc., you should make sure that you invest in a solution that helps you do that. We use a whole bunch of different tools here at Cartlift, depending on the client, the size, etc. Elevar is a great one for Shopify that we're a partner of, where they help you to establish server-side tracking in your store, for example, relatively cheaply. But there are many others as well, of course. And you can also do it completely by yourself or with a developer. But it's important that your tracking is super accurate. Otherwise, you are always leaving money on the table, and it gets more and more important in the future. Number 6 is feed optimization, and that is so important as well because, again, it's an input, right? Google cannot completely fully optimize and design the feed for you. Well, technically, I assume they can if you let them crawl your site, but this will never be that great, at least not so far. So you have to have a very optimized feed where everything, every title, description, add as many attributes as possible. I can recommend to check my interview with Jack from Data Feed Watch, the last video on this channel, where we talked about this exact topic for about an hour. So it's super important, and if you have a fully optimized feed that you check regularly, that you test regularly, you can squeeze another 10, 20, 30% or more out of it. Jacques actually gave me some crazy examples that he experienced firsthand where even more performance gain was possible. So another thing that you should really invest some time and or resources on when it comes to improving your overall performance. Now, number 7 is more like a final thought or a final note that I want to share with you, and this is the following. If everyone has access to the same set of AI tools now, right? So everyone has access to PMax, everyone has access to the same automation inside Google Ads, everyone can sort of use data to optimize their accounts, then the question, of course, is how can you separate yourself? If everyone uses PMax and everyone uses maximized conversion value, for example, then the algorithm basically works towards getting you the best results, but it does the same for everyone else. So Google Ads doesn't have enough sort of inventory to make every advertiser ultra successful. Right? So if you compete, let's say you sell office furniture and you have 150 competitors that are selling very similar things to what you do, Google Ads cannot make all you 151 brands successful, right? If you think about it. So there will always be winners and always be losers. And if everyone is using AI, everyone is using automation, all that stuff, then it is important that you think of other ways to actually improve your position and make sure that you capture a bigger market share. By doing all the things that I mentioned in this video, and of course many others, you still have to be, good at overall copywriting. You still need to know your way around Google Ads. You need to know which campaign types make sense for you specifically, but also when it comes to your store, for example. One thing that we do with almost any client that we work with is we check their store for issues. We give inputs for how to optimize it. We give inputs for, how to boost conversion rates, maximize average order value, what should the product page look like, what's important as some top level bullet points, and so on and so forth. So the work doesn't really end with Google Ads, but really once someone is in your store, now you have to make sure that you maximize the chance of converting or you maximize the conversion rate, right? Because if you only focus on the ads part, then it will get harder and harder and harder because there are so many people all with access to the same tools. Now, these were my points. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you have planned in 2024 when it comes to Google Ads, how much you want to scale with it. Is it your main traffic source? Do you have others that you're using? Also, as I mentioned, if you have some existing sales volume, make sure to check the profit roadmap in the description. And if it's an actual fit, then I will do a full video for you one-on-one, completely free, as long as capacity lasts. I hope when you watch this video, this is still available. And besides that, of course, feel free to check the eCom PPC Academy training as well. It's also in the description where you can learn by yourself how to run Google Ads in the most profitable way possible in 2024 using everything that I just mentioned, from shopping, search, PMax, discovery/demand gen, YouTube, you name it. It's all in there. So check that out if you want to really boost your Google Ads skills and performance this year. Now, thanks a lot for watching. Really appreciate you watching so far. Make sure that you leave a like and subscribe to this channel if you do not want to miss out on Google Ads and performance marketing content for e-commerce. And now I wish you a great year. Hope to see you soon in another video, and bye-bye.